I've been fortunate that I actually was involved in the first show in San Francisco. I actually started even before the San Francisco show. I worked for a large conglomerate out of England, and we were in the point of purchase industry in 2002. And so we were doing design of stores, and we were at that time looking at manufactured products, but as the technology became more and more of an opportunity and the cost started coming down, we started venturing into how do we use the combination. As an example with cosmetics, you have a product with the technology to get the message across to the customer. So early on, I saw the need that if we could enable the opportunity, the impact sale, impulse sale right in front of the customer with technology, I saw that there was definitely a future for that. I had goosebumps when I walked in this year for a couple reasons. One, having been part of it, having been a major sponsor, as being CEO of Broadsign back in the early days. And now I think, to me, as I walked in, and when you see the large screen manufacturers having the presence when you walk in, I think it sends a strong message to the industry that we've really gotten to a point where the commitment from not just the software companies, but the hardware companies as well, is at a point where they realize that we need to be not only a part of it, but a big part of it. So I think as I walked in and saw the size of the show, the key booths that have gotten a lot bigger, and having educated, having spent time and effort to really help this industry grow, I really think 2013 has set us on a much different track even than the previous years. I've had the opportunity to start on the advertising model side of digital signage back in 2006, and as we all know, that continues to be an option for projects that are out there. In 2008, we know with the market taking a crash, the budgets for marketing, also were reduced. And for me, in the last 2 years, I've had the opportunity to join a company called WAN Corporation. WAN has been in business for over 30 years. We got our start in point of sale on the restaurant side, quick serve restaurants and fast casual. And then in the last 7 to 10 years, we've been involved in digital. And I think even as you look and walk around the show, you see not only is advertising playing a role in the digital space, but digital menu boards have become one of the most hottest items in the industry. And at WAN, we've been fortunate that we work with over 40 concepts today, 40 different brands in fast casual and quick serve restaurant. So what I think is important, even for our customers, is the marketing person has spent time to understand digital. They're much more educated than they were even 3 to 4 years ago. So when we sit down and talk about digital as a solution with marketing partners, especially some of the neat brands that are coming out in the industry, they already know what digital is. But what they don't know is when I take that static menu board and I convert it to digital, what type of things do I want to do? And one of the things that's important for us is to educate them to say, I know you want to do some really cool things that you can do with digital, but we got to make certain first that when your customer comes back in the store the first time you have digital, don't change the menu on them right away. Because then the efficiency that you're looking to gain, the education that you've done up to that point, it's not going to get the results that you want. So what we spend a lot of time with up front, once we have worked with the customers, saying, what are you trying to accomplish? Again, going back to what we were talking about in 2006, what's your business objective with digital? And then once we lay that out, as an example with the menu boards, we have experience, we can show them, okay, if you do this, you can get a 1 to 5% increase. If you do this, you get a 5 to 10, and if you do this, you get 10 plus. And we've done that with a number of accounts, but you don't just jump to the 10 plus increase. And I think that's where a lot of people want to go to, but it goes back again, educate, try some things first. Your customers, especially in restaurants, they come in 2 to 3 times a month. They come in for that item that they're going to order. You want to have them have that item and any additional things that are either complement to the item they're going to buy, and or it might be a limited time offer that you're trying to push. So those are what I'll say is the kind of gradual approach that we like to do in the first year to not only educate our customer, but educate their customers, and then really take digital to the next level. And that's what the fun part is with year 2. This year, I had the opportunity to come into WAN Corporation in the last year. WAN's on a fairly significant growth path, and I oversee sales, marketing, creative, so I've had my hands full with that. I do spend time in the industry and in some groups. As an example, I'm doing a on-floor presentation today. I've been involved in the past with some of the organizational things, but as I look to move forward, and especially as part of this show, is 2013 is so important for our industry, looking at different ways that I can continue to give back and contribute to it. But I think the most important thing that I see right now is, as I'm out in front of a number of customers, and whether they become customers or not, I always approach my selling effort with education first to make sure that we're aligned with their business objective, because I'd like to see us all be successful. Because what you don't want to have happen is somebody picks the wrong solution and then they have to go back to their boss and say, you know what, this wasn't the right solution. Chances are none of us win in that, and how much further are they going to go with the digital implementation is going to just depend. So I think the more we educate up front to get them the right product, the better we'll be as a whole for the industry. And that's really my focus has been since the beginning. Let's not overwhelm the consumer or the customer. Let's look at items as, how does the customer want to get bill payment done, as an example? How do they want to be marketed to? And I think the challenge is for us, we're an enabler with the technology that we bring to the table, but how are the brands educating their customers, their consumers, that this is the right path to take? I really see it as a cascading effect. You know, we can do our best effort as a digital signage group, but the brands have to do the same thing. And I think the key thing is the technology's already there. We're ready for it. So whether it's the mobile payment, whether it's the iPad, whether it's Android, the capability that all of us bring and have available in our software is there. It's just a matter of, are we working with the brand? Where is the brand at relevant to the technology? So I think a great example of that is we're working with a number of our concepts to provide an RSS feed. So whether it's Twitter, whether it's Facebook, allowing them to have this interaction once they're physically in that location. But what if the brand hasn't sat back to understand what and how am I going to police those messages back at corporate? So I understand the right messaging that I want to get into the location as well. So there's still learning that we're seeing, even with the big brands, on how do I take this new technology and where do I go with it? But it's clear that mobile payment and the ability to individually target the consumer customer with promotions, that capability is there. So I think as I look out in the next 5 to 10 years, you know, where's all this digital going to take us? And I think as you read, obviously mobile is going to be a big part of that. For those of us that are 50 plus, I still have a hard time. I have to get my text and font large enough on my phone to read it. So that's all obviously an impact, right? Because a lot of us that, you know, are at a certain age, are we going to use the device and how are we going to use that? So I think that's one part of it. I think the flip side is, and I think we've seen some examples here at Digital Signage Expo where they've taken a look at, you know, how does this all integrate? For us personally at Juan Corporation, we've been analyzing where's the future of restaurant technology going. Similar to what we saw here exhibited is that all these technologies are going to come together, but how do you make it transparent to the customer or the consumer so they don't have to learn something, they don't have to be part of it? Because I think we're all going to use technology for bill payment, no doubt in my mind. We're all going to want to have certain messages sent to us, especially when we're, you know, looking at a restaurant, or maybe we're in a retail location, or maybe, you know, I'm waiting over for a plane at the airport. It's just, how do I decide when you want to communicate with me, when I don't want you to communicate with me? And even in our homes now, right? Everything, the technology's gotten to a point where from one central location, I can control my lighting, I can control my music and all of that. I just see that continuing to evolve where there's one device that controls a lot of that for us. And it's going to be so part of what we do on an everyday basis that we're going to need and assume technology is going to be part of that. And that's where I think digital is going to continue to play a big part in our industry. What I see, and no doubt in my mind as it relates to the next 5 to 10 years, the day in the glass that Corning has talked about, I think is sooner rather than later. And you even see it as you walk in and look at appliances and where they're at. And as we all continue to try to upgrade to get the new, latest, greatest screens, yeah, absolutely, I'm a big believer. And I think as the economy continues to show strength, and we're seeing that with our customers and the continued investment on the capital side, that we'll see, again, some really cool things happen in the next 5 years. Wand Corporation, we are a full turnkey solution. So what do I mean by that? Well, again, we've been in restaurant business for 30 years, doing point of sale. So we have a 7/24, 365-day-a-year call center in-house, because when a restaurant goes down, we know it's important for our customers to get that service. We also have a unique business model in that one thing we saw early on is even though the software has the capabilities to give you an output in many different formats, what we were seeing is some of the output didn't match the style and the elegance of the customer. So our business model is we actually work with the marketing teams and the ad agencies, and we have an in-house creative team. We have 5 designers on our staff at Wand, and we've been doing this for over 7 years. So one thing that we see, especially at this show, is you walk around, you see the output on the software, the actual creative. And in our case, because we solely focused and purpose-built our software for digital menu boards, we get a lot of visitors. We have a lot of people taking pictures of what we do, because again, we can take still, we can take video, and it's the subtle things that we've learned working with 40 different concepts that really allow you to get the uplift that you're looking for. I mean, subtleties such as steam and motion, but it's not just adding those things, it's how long in the duration do you have a particular item being shown, where you have movement and where you don't have movement. The ad agencies, all of them have had some type of experience with digital, and a lot of them get it, and a lot of them understand it. I think from their perspective, as they look at their overall portfolio of companies and what % of time are they spending on digital, is really relevant to the question of where are they at, because they know and they're committed to it and they're excited about it, but how much of their customers, those brands, are continuing to spend on digital. And so in our case, what typically happens is our first meeting is with sitting down with the marketing team and the ad agency, and then just differentiating, saying, you know the brand, the ad agency supports the brand, we just know how to digitize the brand. So how do we work together to accomplish that? So the creative element is we're not starting with a white sheet of paper. That's not what we do. We know that the marketing team and the ad agency is really good at that. We're going to help them with placement, right? Because they're not spending the time to understand that. And we're giving them ideas on, this is great creative, but can we get something like this? Because we've seen even changes in size and format get that uplift. So I would say the ad agencies are definitely there. They have been there. They love it. They're fun to work with. It's just a matter of, are their customers continuing to increase that digital budget? And they are. It's just that it's not 50% of their time yet. Hopefully it will be in the next 5 years. This year in particular, because where Wand has been and where we're going, we upsized our booth. We went from a smaller booth to a 20 by 20. So sending a strong message there that, we really feel that, we're ready to have a big presence in this industry, even though we've been doing it for over, 10 years. So, but I think not as much of a player at Digital Signage Expo, because a lot of our audience are the actual brands, so they have their shows. But we feel it's important now with Digital Signage Expo, because we are very much part of this and we're seeing where the application can go, is that now we need to really have a presence. So our focus has been more on, let's provide the education, and then let's show what you can do creative, and then let's see if we can grow the relationship from there. Digital Signage Expo is where Wand comes to get connected to the industry.